billion-dollar altcoin.
This is a hidden gem altcoin operating in a billion-dollar industry that nobody is talking about.
Here's a project with real-world utility that is solving actual problems, so you need to know about it.
Welcome to the Bean Pod. This is your place for all things stocks and crypto. From beginner tips to expert picks. Use this as fuel for your investing journey, because when you're in the know, your money will grow.
This episode of the Bean Pod is sponsored by KyberSwap.
KyberSwap is a DEX and DEX aggregator which is built to facilitate all your DeFi needs in one single platform.
Fast, cheap, and safe.
User experience is KyberSwap's sole focus to make everyone's life better in DeFi. Welcome to the Bean Pod. This is Shane, aka the Jolly Green Investor.
This is Josh, the Nifty Investor.
Today, we're going to be revealing a hidden gem billion-dollar altcoin.
This is a project that can solve problems across multiple billion-dollar industries, supply chain, artificial intelligence, which is going to be absolutely massive moving forward. And there's a lot of real-world utility here. Unlike a lot of different projects in the space, I think this one needs to be highlighted now.
Yeah, so this is what you would call like a big data supply chain infrastructure play. Now we've talked about, if you're watching the show for a while, we've talked about projects like Morpheus Network and VeChain, which are much more established projects that are in the supply chain. But we've kind of uncovered a bit of a gem here, which is taking a different approach to solving the supply chain issues with a decentralized database network. And then they've also got some interesting things going on with the way they play with the data and also some AI integrations as well. So this is going to be an interesting episode that you need to watch to the end.
So we're referring to location data. So this project allows you to ensure the validity, the certainty, and the value of data specifically as it pertains to specific location data. Super important when you're referring to something like the supply chain, right? If something goes missing, the amount of downtime that could be in between. So let's say you send out a pair of shoes and it has to go onto one cargo ship, onto the next one, etc. But let's say it goes missing within that time period. How do you know exactly where it is? Well, with this technology, you can figure out exactly where it is at all times due to the technology itself, with its sentinels, etc. Right? So
yeah,
every item, like a phone, for example, can be utilized in this network. A car nearby can be utilized. The forklift driver nearby can be utilized to track exactly where these items are in real time.
Yeah, for me, blockchain itself, it just seems like a no-brainer for that technology to help solve all these global supply chain issues, transparency, reliability of data, all this kind of stuff. So the project we're talking about today is called XYO. And we're going to kind of go do a deep dive into the project and tell you this token actually has a lot of real world utility within its ecosystem. And some of the partnerships are also pretty insane. So this is a pretty cool one.
With a $70 million market cap, with a majority of their tokens in circulation, and with AI regulation coming down the pipeline, I think that's why this is a very important time to cover it. So XYO is a decentralized location data network. So basically, it utilizes blockchain technology and cryptography to create a self-sovereign, provenance, and preserving and decentralized data storage and verification system. Super important for many industries.
Yeah, I think the problem with the supply chain right now and location data specifically is there's a lack of trust in what the data is. It can easily be manipulated or falsified. So if you're looking at where did these organic avocados come from? Is it just there's an orange sticker on the box that said they're organic, farm fresh from California, but really that could just be a sticker. It could be falsified. So it's just one example of how location data, when you're sending parts, where did the parts come from? Where did they go? Is the shipping route exactly as you said? Why did it take so long? So all this location data can be easily falsified using old school networks. But with XYO, they're creating a decentralized network that is resistant to manipulation, so it could become a much more secure and reliable network for location data moving forward. I think this is a big thing.
So the big data market size is worth nearly $200 billion globally. But when you're talking about a global economy, you come into something known as sovereignty, and it's the laws and governance within those areas. So as data is being passed from one country to the next, but there's a fault along the chain, and something goes wrong, who is responsible? Is it the data that occurred in Canada, or is it the one that occurred in the US? So utilizing this technology, you can now find out the exact location of where the data was at the specific moment in time, which is very important.
Yeah, so XYO's kind of they provided a bridge that will link this data sovereignty, which is, you know, the requirements, policies, and regulations of data across different countries. So no one's really addressing that issue because as things, you know, all these goods are flowing around different areas with different regulations and laws, the XYO network is providing a bridge to maintain that security and reliability. So I think that's one of the many real world use cases as you look along the supply chain that XYO is kind of addressing.
And this is important as, you know, more and more companies go online and go into Web3 and are using cloud computing and cloud storage. They need to start complying with the data laws. So I think that that's super important.
And so another thing that XYO and just blockchain data networks in particular can be massive for is what they refer to as data permanence. Right. So everyone knows that, you know, data is the new oil. Data is so valuable, whether it comes to any sort of data, whether it's your social media data, and in this case, your location data. So data permanence is that data needs to persist over time so that it can be utilized, learned from, and potentially monetized as well. So with XYO network and the blockchain, it's pivotal because you can store your data using the XYO network and retrieve it and analyze it at any time. So you're looking at, you know, but maybe on old school networks, if you have this old data, maybe it's on written sheets, which can be falsified again, or maybe they get wet and they're gone, right? So this is all on chain. Again, going back to the permanence, it's verifiable, it's reliable, and it's permanent. So that means it can be stored over an infinite amount of time and accessed at any point, which is very crucial for data and location data specifically.
So the data is collected from all different sources, like we mentioned before, you know, maybe from the where the forklift is or from your cell phone. So that data is then collected and it's validated and stored on the XYO blockchain. From there, it's tamper-proof and permanent, and it's a permanent record of data, which we aren't currently seeing in today's use and technology.
Yeah, so like as supply chain management becomes, you know, moves into the new age, as we are seeing with companies like XYO, imagine having this long-term database of verifiable and reliable data that you can use to make projections on new shipments or build new products off of. This is one of the real-world use cases that I think XYO has absolutely nailed.
Yeah, and then we got into provenance. That's the transparency and the history of the data itself, right? So this is verifiable data that's collected, when it's collected, where it came from, and how it's been processed and transformed over time. And again, tamper-proof, verifiable, you can retrieve it. It's like, it's solving all the problems within a supply chain issue.
Yeah, I mean, this one is an easy one because it's the blockchain, right?
Yeah.
So it's inherently transparent. Everything you can see on the blockchain. So when it comes to location data for your goods that you're sending around the world or whatever it is, data provenance, which means transparency, this is just it's just all these things, you know, some of the terms can sound complicated, but when you break down what they actually mean, it's just very straightforward. We're talking about data that is transparent, regulated, and permanent, so that you can build these data warehouses on the blockchain in the XYO network. And then when we talk about some of the different things later on in this episode, such as the partners they're working with, the token utility, and even some integrations into AI, which maybe now we can move in, really make you wonder why more people have not been talking about XYO.
So I think the way it pertains to artificial intelligence is massive. So we talked about the supply chain, you know, a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Now we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, how XYO pertains to that, another trillion-dollar industry, and how they could be utilized moving forward with AI. And it's scary because, you know, let's say somebody programs some sort of code and it's a very evil code and all of a sudden missiles start getting launched or something like that. You need to figure out, you know, where exactly did that happen, at what time and how, right? And using XYO, you can actually figure out in these AI systems where it's all taking place, which is going to be really hard to do without a system like an XYO.
Yeah, and when it comes to AI, and you know, we just came from Consensus in Austin, and we heard Edward Snowden talk about AI, and he made a point which was driven home to me that the way that the AI is trained and the data it's trained on is the most important thing, because if it's trained on bad data, then the AI will inherently be bad. It's like human, you know, if you're raised in a poor environment, you might have some issues. So XYO, with all of the things we just talked about with data permanence, data reliability, data transparency, it's making sure building AI models with their data that the data is actually good quality. And if the data is good quality for all these supply chain and all these kind of AIs that are going to be built using this XYO network, it's making sure the data is good quality, so the AI will be good quality. And I think that's kind of a huge thing for me in AI.
And it's the fact that they're using proof of origin chain. So basically, they're using, again, we've talked about this with other projects, and it's through the use of zero knowledge proofs. So with this, they're able to verify real world data without needing to expose or disclose the underlying data itself. So again, it's keeping it the zero knowledge proofs without, making anything transparent from a underlying data perspective.
It's data privacy, right?
Yeah.
And data privacy, this, and again, it fits into the narratives that we talk about on this show all the time, which is data privacy, security. We talked about ZK. Now we're talking about AI. It's kind of like XYO it's a multi-narrative project, right? They're kind of hitting along all of these certain things, but doing it in a way that I really like, which is very specific to one industry, which is data location and supply chain. So I think they got a lot of things going for them.
Yeah. So I guess we could look at some of their partners. They've done some work with FedEx. The fact that it's location-based tech. FedEx is massive when they come to supply chain management. So the fact that they're already doing some integration with them, also working with Microsoft for push-button geospatial blockchain apps, which is pretty huge. Partnership with Here Technologies, which is the world's #1 location data platform. So you could look at that as an example. Your neighbor gets a package delivered, and how do you know? Well, basically, it can confirm the delivery of the neighbor's package from the car nearby.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to FedEx, right? That's a huge one. So, when we do these deep dives into projects, whether it be the truth about or if we're talking about hidden gem altcoins, we always like to talk about the technology, which we've covered, and we've hit upon why the XYO technology is very innovative and specific to a emerging industry like that has a lot of problems. Then you talk about the partners, because technology is great in and of itself, but if no one's using the technology, then it's worthless. So when you talk about a supply chain, a company that's using location data to innovate on the supply chain like XYO, and you see that they're already working with FedEx to explore use cases for location data on one of the biggest shipping companies in the world, that for me is massive. It can't be overstated how big of a deal that is. They're also working with a company called XYO, which is one of the world's largest companies that provides fleet management and vehicle tracking. Again, going down to shipping, location data, all these things. So XYO has partnered with XYO to integrate its location data into XYO's platform, which will allow all their customers using all their vehicle management services to access real-time location. So that's, again, you can see that they're actually going through with their roadmap. They're making partnerships. They're using this amazing technology that they've developed, which for me, it's another big tick box.
Absolutely. So what is XYO? It's a decentralized location data network. Imagine data flowing through space, and you want to figure out where is it at a specific particular time in space, and it's verifiable, it's trustless, it's decentralized, it's secure, it's private, it ticks all the boxes. So it's a very unique technology, I think, that is just starting to roll out, and I think people are going to start hearing more of in the upcoming months and years. Yeah,
one other interesting thing that caught my eye when you go through their websites and partners is they're working with a platform called Ocean Protocol.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked about how big data is worth billions, if not trillions of dollars in the world. Data is so important. You can build businesses based on data. And what XYO Network is now building up this very valuable network or database of location data. And Ocean Protocol is a decentralized data exchange that allows users to share and monetize data. So as XYO integrates its location data network with Ocean, other users and businesses building location data businesses, they can buy or use and sell the location data from the XYO network. So this is just another monetization strategy from XYO, because you want to look at businesses, we're always analyzing crypto companies and tokens and all that kind of stuff. But if the business isn't sustainable and they're not making revenue for the business themselves, the long-term outlook is poor. So we're going through these things in the way that XYO is working with partners, and this partnership with Ocean Protocol to monetize their data. I think this demonstrates the long-term versatility of XYO as a company, not even just a crypto company.
Yeah.
So it's just, they're ticking a lot of boxes for me here.
So they got some integrations from a Web3 perspective in addition to a Web2 perspective.
And then, so the token utility, right? So we've kind of touched upon the token utility as we've gone, but I think we should highlight it again here. The token is used to incentivize users to participate in the network by providing location and the validity of the accuracy. So it's kind of a two-way street. You can earn XYO tokens by providing location data or by validating the accuracy of the location data. So this kind of creates, it's what you want. It's like a self-sustaining ecosystem where the token rolls around. You know, some of these projects are great, but the token does nothing. It's like a governance token. It's used for the DAO or whatever. And it's like, well, what's the point in buying or holding this token? But XYO Token has built their ecosystem around the real world utility. So this is a utility token. I like that.
Yeah, it's good. And it's good for other blockchain companies. It's good for anybody who's just, when they start having, you know, retail facing applications, you know, with their XYO data marketplace, users can now gain access to trusted apps. Like, you know, for sure, look, this item has been this place at this particular time. It's verifiable. It's private. So I think, you know, the fact that other blockchain companies and technologies can tap into XYO in addition to retailers in the future, I think it'll be excellent.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, let's just do a quick recap here. We have a project that's solving a multi-billion-dollar problem in a massive industry, which has innovative technology, which is touching upon many, many important narratives in crypto, such as privacy, zero knowledge, AI. They've got big name partners in FedEx and such, and their token utility is very high as they've built an ecosystem around actually using the XYO token. This to me is a crypto hidden gem.
I like it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you guys have any other crypto hidden gems that we're not aware of, let us know in the comments and let us know what you think about XYO. And then tune to the next episode,
because that one is going to be a banger.
All views expressed by speakers on the BeanPod are solely their opinions. You should not treat any opinion expressed on the BeanPod as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a specific strategy, but only as an expression of their opinion. This podcast is for informational purposes only.